All right, Professor Godson Anna works in the Department of Environmental Health Sciences in the College of Medicine at the University of Ibadan, and he joins us now in the studio. Thanks for joining us, Professor. Just help us understand the importance of World Mosquito Day and the theme for this year, fighting the world's deadliest killer, the mosquito, and also the importance of Nigeria keying into this day and fighting malaria in Nigeria.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's a pleasure. Mosquito is a deadly vector that has been identified time immemorial. And Nigeria is in the tropics, and most of the mosquitoes, depending on the genera, as much as possible, thrive very well in the tropics. And the prevalence of the mosquito-associated morbidities, particularly malaria, is very high. Nigeria happens to be one of the countries with the highest prevalence of malaria and other mosquito-related morbidities. And this emphasizes the need for us to join the rest of the world in this fight against this greatest enemy of all times.
Now let's look at vector control, because when you talk about vector control, a lot of people don't know what you're simply saying is the insecticide-treated net and all that. Speak to us more about how we can limit contact with mosquitoes.
Yeah, thank you very much. When you control mosquito biting, you reduce the prevalence of the disease caused by mosquito. Mosquito is a vector, and it carries the parasite that causes malaria. How do you prevent mosquito bite? As much as possible is to entrench a lot of environmental and sanitation related activities. We talk about source reduction, ensuring that most of the places that the mosquitoes thrive, where you have open drains and you have vessels with stored water that the mosquitoes will breed, are properly discarded, and those places are properly cleaned. This will minimize the propagation of the mosquitoes. So reduction at source is key, and then use of other procedures like larvicidal and adulticidal chemicals will also eliminate the various stages of the mosquito. There are 4 stages: the egg, the larva, the pupa, and the adult. So all these strategies are aimed at reducing the mosquito population. And when once we achieve the mosquito population reduction, basically that's how malaria burden will also be reduced.
Now, the House of Representatives has weighed in on mosquito-borne diseases like malaria. They're urging the federal government to declare a state of emergency on malaria. How will this amplify the efforts to control malaria in Nigeria?
Excellent. Well, that is a representation of goodwill on the part of government. So it's one thing to make the pronouncement, and then the other thing is to ensure that it's being enforced, it's being implemented. In the past, we've had such pronouncements where government makes pronouncements very, very attractive, very encouraging, but along the line, most of these pronouncements have not been followed through properly, and they've not even been implemented in the various spaces. So I want to believe that this will not be one of those pronouncements, and that government will demonstrate the goodwill and ensure that the needful is done as much as possible.
55 million, around that figure, around 55 million malaria cases in Nigeria every year, 90,000 malaria-related deaths. And then let's begin to look at the economic burden. By 2030, it's been projected that that will come to like 2 trillion naira. How do we ensure that the economic burden doesn't keep rising by the day?
Yeah, well, the effects of malaria, in terms of the scourge, health problems, by and large, will affect productivity, will affect social interactions, and a number of other engagements, causing school absenteeism amongst children, and also affecting workers. The way to go about it to improve most of these indicators is to increase the level of funding on sanitation and hygiene related issues. Mosquito related mobility is environmentally related, and so we should not be seen putting the cart before the horse. We should not be waiting for outbreaks. We should not be waiting for the vulnerable populations coming down with malaria before we try to do what we have to do. And so putting measures in place to ensure consistent cleaning and hygiene conditions at the community level, at the grassroots level, that will eliminate the mosquito breeding sites. That's number one. Appropriating resources to R&D, research and development, on innovative strategies. We have genetic related strategies, we have mosquito trap strategies, we have the use of other biocontrol measures. All these developments will help in stemming the tide of mosquito population. If you address the burden of the vector, definitely you'll be addressing the burden of the morbidity, which is malaria. So we also want to see increased awareness creation across the divide of the country. I can recall when we had the outbreak of COVID and the pandemic being declared, there was a lot of media hype. There were a lot of advocacies. But over time, I have not seen such advocacy, such media hype, such aggressive, sensitization in the country. And I think we owe ourselves a duty to do that so that the population will understand the gravity of the problem when it comes to malaria.
All right, that's all the time we have, unfortunately. Thank you so much, Godson Anna, Professor Environmental Health, University of Ibadan, for joining us on Newsline.